Welcome back to Torah in 10, Parsha Vayikra. I'm Jody Burkell, and I'm so excited to be here with you again. I have a question. What's the most searched about topic on Google? Ready? Happiness. Apparently, everyone is searching for happiness. I don't blame them. There are thousands, probably millions of books on the topic. But Rabbi Sacks of blessed memory says, there is something more fundamental to the sense of a life well lived. He's talking to us today about meaning. Happiness and meaning might seem similar. It's easy to think that people who find meaning are happy, and people who are happy find meaning. But the two are not the same and don't always overlap. Happiness, he says, is mostly about satisfying our needs and our wants. But meaning is about a sense of purpose in life, especially by making a positive impact on the life of others. Happiness is about how we feel in the present. Meaning is about how we judge our life as a whole, past, present, and future. Meaning has less to do with what happens to us, but about how we interpret what happens to us. There can be happiness without meaning, and there can be meaning in the absence of happiness, even in the most difficult of circumstances. No one did more to put the question of meaning into our vernacular than the late Viktor Frankl. Frankl's book, Man's Search for Meaning, is one of my favorites and has inspired millions. He was a psychotherapist who survived Auschwitz. While in the camps, he dedicated his life to giving people the will to live. How did he do this? By getting them to see that their lives weren't finished yet. They still had things that needed to be done and therefore had a reason to survive. Frankl believed that this call or this task to perform came from the outside. He used to say that the right question was not to ask, what do I want from life? But rather, what does life want from me? He said, we each have unique gifts and abilities. We have skills and talents and different circumstances of our life. For each of us, there is a task only we can do. Life is a task, he used to say. One of the things I love most about Judaism is this sense of purpose it instills in each one of us. We're talking about having a mission, being called upon to do something. That's the significance of the opening word in the Parsha that gives its name to the entire book, Vayikra, and he called. Here, we find God calling to Moses for the second time. First, at the burning bush, when God calls to Moses, where he's invited to undertake the job that would define his life, and that is leading the people out of exile and slavery to the promised land. Rashi, our great Torah commentator, says Vayikra means to be called to a task in love. Today, we understand this as having a calling, something that we're compelled to do, not because it gives us certain benefits, but because we feel this is our mission in life. That's why we're placed on the earth. Brene Brown echoes this idea. She says, we all have gifts and talents, and when we cultivate those gifts and share them with the world, we create a sense of meaning and purpose in our lives. We can be good at many things, but what gives life direction and meaning is a sense of mission, something we're called on to do. How do we discover our mission or our purpose? The late Michael Novak said that a calling has 4 characteristics. Number 1, it's unique to you. Number 2, you have a talent for it. Number 3, it's something which when you do it gives you a sense of enjoyment and renewed energy. And number 4, he says, don't expect it to reveal itself immediately. You may have to follow many paths until you find your true one. Our job is to figure it out. What's interesting about the name of this book and the name of the Parsha Vayikra is that it begins with a call. because Rabbi Sacks says it's a book about sacrifices, and a calling involves sacrifice. Stepping out of our comfort zone, doing what needs to be done can be scary, even uncomfortable. But as the famous quote goes, life begins at the end of your comfort zone. Rabbi Sack says, not all of us discover this type of calling, and that in no way makes our lives any less good, less valuable, or beloved by God. This is comforting. Perhaps our mission will look different at different times of our life. My mission now, first and foremost, is to be a good mother to my children and a good wife to my husband. I don't think this will ever change. But over the years, I have changed my profession. I started and ran my own children's entertainment company for 25 years. I was pretty good at it, but it wasn't my calling. Later in life, I did hear Vayikra, God's call, and switched gears to focus my efforts on building the Jewish people. I feel part of something much greater than myself, and this brings a lot of meaning into my life. We too can hear God's call. He sometimes whispers to us, and he's asking us a question. Is there someone I should call? Is there someone I should help? Is there someone I should thank? Is there a prayer I should be saying or a mitzvah I should be doing? Is there something I've been neglecting until now because I've just been too busy? That's what Vayikra means. Figuring out our task, hearing God's call gives life meaning and purpose. May we hear and listen to God's voice, and may he hear and listen to ours when we pray to him. Wishing you all a Shabbat Shalom.